Welcome to Violent Vinyl Radio, where we break down the best hair metal albums from the 80s and the 90s. So grab that volume knob, crank it up, and enjoy the show.
Showtime. Welcome to Violent Vinyl Radio. I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts. First up, the podcaster holding all the aces, Dangerous Dave.
Greetings, everyone.
And last but not least, the podcaster who likes the dark side of the beat, Lisa.
You're talking to someone who really understands rock music.
Shit.
Can you name that quote?
I can't, but it was
Tipper
awesome.
Tipper Gore, as part of the PMRC, really misunderstanding rock music.
I love it. We will bring you down, man. We will bring you down. Can you name the quote?
No.
Sammy Kerr, Trick or Treat.
Oh,
So there you
no.
go.
See?
Yeah.
Of course I can't name that.
Okay, that's how we play on this show. Okay, as always, the mission of this show is for us to introduce each other and you, the listeners, to albums and bands which you may never have heard before, while also discussing the classics. So sit back and enjoy the show. Dave, where can they find this fine podcast?
You can find our podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. Instagram, VVR Podcast Insta, and Facebook, Violent Vinyl Podcast. We're available on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.
I think we got to get some VVR shirts made. I think they'd be badass, right? Make them all like super
VVR.
metal. Yeah, like all super metal. Like, I think we need to get some shirts made. Like, I got fucking, hey, did you ever see that movie Shirts Made? And they have like a little hen on it because one day I thought,
A hen?
well, because during the one episode for Neighbors, I said to Lynn, and she had Capone for dinner. She goes, "What's Capone?" It was a capon.
Oh.
So one of the co-hosts had t-shirts made that said, "What's a Capone?" And it's got a picture of a little capon chicken. Oh, shit. Okay, tonight we will be discussing WASP, the self-titled debut studio album by WASP, produced by Blackie Lawless and Mike Varney, released on August 17th of 1984 on Capitol Records. The album peaked at the number 74 spot on the U.S. Billboard 200. The band's lineup was as follows: the great Blackie Lawless on lead vocals and bass, the drunk Chris Holmes on lead and rhythm guitars,
Harsh.
Randy Piper, lead and rhythm guitars, backing vocals, and Tony Richards on drums and backing vocals. That was not a slight on Chris Holmes. It was because of the decline of the Western civilization, where he chose to get shit-faced in his pool with his mother present. I mean, the man built a career on being a wild man that fucking drank vodka like fucking apple juice. So I will give credit where credit is due. Let's do some quick band facts on this one. Fact number one: I had almost forgotten that this was not Steve Riley on drums. Much like LA Guns' first album, I mean, on this particular album, the original drummer did get his picture on the album, unlike in the LA Guns album. But yeah, my mind just kind of remembered it being Steve Riley. But no, it's somebody else. And I think maybe for the better. I don't know. We'll get into it. Dave, Lisa, how do you like it? Dave, or you? You like Dave, right?
Dave will go first. Yeah.
Okay, Dave will go first. As you can see. Okay, I'm ready to go. Dave.
The boss speaks.
Talk about it.
All right. According to Wikipedia, WASP formed in 1982 and gained notoriety for their shock rock themed image, lyrics, and live performances. They have sold over 12 million records worldwide, with their first two albums, WASP in 1984 and The Last Command in 1985, being certified as gold by the RIAA. That's the Recording Institute of America, I think. I didn't write that on my notes.
That reminded me of Dodgeball, the DBGA Association of America.
The members' former bands included Circus Circus and Sister, which included a pre-Motley Crue Nikki Sixx,
Hmm.
as well as LA Legends London. Blackie was also back in 1975 the replacement guitarist for about a month in the New York Dolls when Johnny Thunders quit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right after Blackie would go out to Hollywood with Dolls bassist Arthur Kane to form the Killer Kane Band, which lasted about 1 year.
Yeah, quick shout out to David Johansen, who is battling cancer right now and apparently is not in very good condition. So our hearts and prayers go out to him because, come on, the fucking New York Dolls. Yeah.
Mm.
That's
Dave,
right.
continue
Yep.
on.
Sending out our good mojo.
Yes,
There
sir.
is a GoFundMe, I believe, to help with his care. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll go over and
Yep.
hit that, guys.
Also, according to Wikipedia, there's been much speculation over the origin of the band's name and whether it actually stands for anything, since it is written as an acronym. One possible interpretation is White Anglo-Saxon Protestant being the original meaning of the acronym.
I'm putting my bet there.
Yeah, those guys aren't really very waspy.
They
those
really
are like
are.
people in Connecticut that sail on, yachts and shit like that. Yeah,
Wear blades in their crotches.
Blackie doesn't strike me as that sort.
No.
The original U.S. release of the band's debut had the words "We are sexual perverts" inscribed on both sides around the label in the center.
I believe
More
that.
likely. When asked about the band's name, Lawless has avoided giving a straight answer. In one interview, he answered, "We ain't sure, pal."
I'm not buying that.
There's a couple more possibilities too, right? So there's during the PMRC stuff in the 80s, 84, 85, whenever that was, they claimed it was "We Are Satan's People." So
Nice.
that's a fun one. And then later, many years later, when some of the former members would talk about their relationships with Blackie and the situations that happened, especially 84, 85, they said the name actually stood for "We're all side players."
Good one.
Blackie Lawless. Hey-o.
Yikes.
That's a good one. Any more?
Nope, that's it.
All right. I'm sure you can come up with fun ones of your own at home.
Would you like me to work on it while you finish the facts?
How about "We Are So Perfect"?
WASP is still touring today worldwide. As with many other veteran bands, Blackie is the only original member still in the band. You can check out their website at waspnation.com. A couple more. WASP has had a relationship with the movie business too. The band made an appearance in the 1984 film The Dungeon Master. There is a clip on YouTube, and on the soundtrack to Ghost Warrior with the song Tormentor.
Ooh.
In 1987, WASP had their song Scream Until You Like It included on the soundtrack of the movie Ghoulies 2. That's a good one.
Nice.
Also, as we mentioned in the Trick or Treat episode, bringing it back around,
Yep.
Blackie was considered to portray Rock's chosen warrior, Sammy Kerr, but passed on the role. And according to a 1999 AOL chat with Blackie, he was also reportedly slated to play the T-1000 in the movie Terminator 2, but was later replaced by Robert Patrick after Blackie was deemed too tall.
I think that would
Too
be best.
tall. How tall is he? Do we know?
He's, I believe, 6'4".
Wow.
The fact that
I don't get that from the photos.
So, he'd
Yeah.
probably be towering over Arnold.
Oh
But
no, he always seemed very, very tall to me with that dad bod. But
Mm.
I mean, the fact that the only thing that kept him from getting that role was he was too tall. Like, who was casting that, Magoo?
Mm.
No, no.
And finally, let's not, as we mentioned, forget Chris Holmes' legendary segment in The Decline of Western Civilization Part 2, The Metal Years.
I got some words on that later.
Yes.
All right. Last one, Rick Browdy in an interview with Full in Bloom Music commented about the recording of this album, about how Blackie went crazy about making sure his guitar was in tune and wanted each drum recorded separately for maximum fidelity. Typically, drum sets are recorded in the studio all at once as a kit with several microphones placed around the drums. He said drummer Tony Richards would get bored, do drugs, and pass out from behind the drum kit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Could you imagine having to play each individual drum part? So like the kick and then the snare
Yeah,
and then
that's what they were doing.
Horrendous.
Yeah,
That's-
that's why he was doing drugs.
Ugh.
Jesus. It
I
makes-
don't do drugs, and
I-
that would make me do drugs.
I do drugs too.
Yeah.
That makes for a very organic, like loose feeling drum beat. Oh God.
So Rick alleges he was the original producer until partway through, Blackie decided to change producers to Mike Varney of Shrapnel Records fame. If a guitar shredder released an instrumental album back in the 80s, it was probably on Shrapnel Records.
A little more about Brody. Another thing he complained about was that Blackie tried to re-record Hellion because he didn't like how he pronounced the word Hellion, and he did like thousands of takes just with that one word over and over, like that. Oh my God!
So he's got OCD
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, he also claims that he paid for everything back in the day. So Blackie approached him and said, "Hey, I've got $50,000 to record these demos." And then when he showed up, he flew out to see Blackie. Blackie had $1,500, right? So he said, "No problem. We'll go to Vegas and I'll win the rest of the money." So they went to Vegas and Blackie put all of his money on a roulette table on black, and Brody put $10 on red. Guess which one won?
The answer, please.
The red.
The
So,
$10.
yeah, so he lost the $1,500 and they had to go do this on the cheap. So yeah, so even, and then I think
Recording overnight
yeah,
at
and
the super cheap rates.
didn't Brody said that he didn't have a lot of time to do this either. Wasn't he gonna go produce Rat?
I
Yeah.
think it might have been the Scorpions, he said, but
Yeah.
he had
Another
another
gig.
gig lined up.
Yeah.
And so he only had a certain amount of time to do this album. And he would remind Blackie that, hey, look, we got to wrap this up because I got to go do this other gig. And so then Blackie took it as a disloyalty. Yeah, right. And then fired him. And
Yeah, and how can you make money? So you're not making money with this guy. They're recording in the studio at 2 a.m. because they can't afford to pay for the studio. He can't make money on this. He doesn't allow him to go do another gig. What's the guy supposed to do?
of course, I
Being
mean,
a dick.
it's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
Rick has heard from other people that much of his work on the album remains as part of the final product, even though he is not credited.
Nice. All right. So, Lisa, what do you got on WASP?
So this is 1984, right? So this is way in the beginning of what we call glam. Now, what do you think? Do we call WASP a glam band?
We're going to get
Sure.
into it. This is the
Okay.
first real. No. This is the first real metal album that we've
Metal.
done.
Yeah.
This is metal. I mean, this
This
is
is
real
metal.
metal. Yeah, this
Mhm.
is metal.
But they are often mentioned in when you talk about glam bands from the 80s.
Glam metal.
Yeah, they're put into that category, right?
Shock rock.
Shock
metal.
rock, whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know where to put them.
They're evil.
Yeah, but it was the beginning of that movement, right? So they had a lot of time, especially over they had another couple of good albums after this. So they had a lot of time to, really shape what they had. It wasn't like they were releasing this in 89 and had no more room to move, right? So this is the very beginning. They were getting signed when bands like Motley Crue had been signed right before them with Elektra, and Great White had been signed
Yeah.
as well, and like all of these other bands were getting signed, and they were kind of in that original group of bands that we remember from those days.
I fucking hated Great White. Ugh.
Well, we don't like to talk about them now because
Fuck
yeah,
them.
yeah,
I
fuck
mean-
them. In 1984, Wasp appeared in the movie Dungeon Master. So did you guys do Dungeon Master yet on Hey? Did
We
you ever
have
see
not
that
done
movie?
Dungeon Master, but it's there.
Yeah,
It's on the
yeah.
list.
Maybe that would be one.
Crossover episode.
Crossover episode. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. In 1986, Wasp appeared in Playboy magazine. Did you know this?
I did not.
Okay. Yeah, there's a little picture of them on the Grapevine page, like a little insert next to a woman covering her naked body with a guitar.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
and they are credited. It actually does say the band name on the page. So, take a look at that. Um, so Mike Varney, interesting guy, right? Shrapnel Records. So this is the guy that brought us shredders, pretty much, right? Ingve
Yep.
Mhm.
and who else? Richie Kotzen, John Five, which is a weird one to put in that group,
Yeah,
but
that is
he was
weird.
there too.
He came on much
Yeah,
later, but
yeah. So his Mike Varney had a band before this. Did you know that?
I think so.
The Nuns.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
They classify themselves as a pre-punk band. Do you know what is pre-punk?
I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
right. Okay.
Proto punk. I
Yeah,
mean,
so I
garage rock kind
proto-punk.
of.
well, and so thank you for saying that because I tried to go and listen to some tracks, and what it sounded like was a bunch of guys playing in a garage. But apparently, they were very big in the Bay Area before this all happened. Shrapnel Records, of course, is the that's them. Yeah.
I
So
have the album
yeah,
in
the
my
album's
iTunes.
yeah, okay. So
Nice.
Shrapnel Records, kind of the forefront of solo guitar shredder albums, but
Yeah.
they also had LA Guns. They had Jakey Lee, George Lynch, Racer X, Winger, War and Peace, which is Jeff Pilson's band, Jeff Pilson from Dawkin, and also come a little bit into the future. Well, in the future from 1984, Brides of Destruction, which is Tracy Gunn's band, right, with
Nikki Six.
Nikki Six at one time, John Corabi, Ginger from the Choir Boys, lots of, they call it a super group, so, but a lot of revolving members in that band. That was Shrapnel Records also. Um, so there's a lot of lineup changes in this band. It's
Oh yeah.
a lot of trading members, a lot of movement. Not the solid, like we did Aerosmith recently. That was a pretty solid lineup, right? We're now going back into the world of everybody trading members, right?
This is called a solo act.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Blackie claims that that what ended up being the original lineup of WASP was the rejects from all of the other bands that were forming at the time. Right?
Nice.
So they were the rejects, and what that meant was that they were like so hungry. And the quote is that they were like nitroglycerin wrapped up in a package called rock and roll. That's the quote.
Nice.
So
Nice.
okay.
Cheese.
So we can go into the individual guys now. I guess we start with Blackie. Born in Florida, raised in New York, a very religious upbringing, although he doesn't ascribe to how he was brought up in that fundamentalist lifestyle. The strange thing was that really shaped Wasp's sound because he kind of moved into like a study of the occult after that. And that's where we get all the occult imagery and things like that, the shock stuff that came later. He almost pursued a career as a Major League Baseball player.
Hmm.
Did you know this? Yeah.
I never knew
His
that.
uncle, Rin Duran, played for multiple different teams as a pitcher, despite being almost blind and wearing thick glasses. So, yeah,
Wild
so
thing.
right, right? It's pretty crazy. Yeah. So lots of bands in the history of Blackie Lawless, Black Rabbit, Orphax Rainbow. That's a horrible name. Um, we mentioned obviously New York Dolls, Animal. That wasn't his band, right? That was the other guy's band. And London with Nikki Six, right?
Right.
Yeah. So with London, the quote is that Blackie fired the band, including Nikki Six. Did
Oh.
you hear that?
No.
No.
I like it though.
I heard when he was in it, by the time he was in it, Nikki had like just left to go to Motley Crue, but
Okay. So Nikki,
it could be a he said, she said.
yeah, well, Nikki, I read an interview with Nikki Six, who claims that he expected to be fired from the band because the band was too green, and Blackie had a plan of like he was going to make this super group and they were going to, you know how like when you draft a baseball team, right, and you plan on going to the World Series even before you have your players,
Yeah.
like Blackie had a plan before he even had a band of being a super group, playing stadiums, doing all that. And Nikki at the time claims that he wasn't ready for that. He didn't even really know how to play his instrument.
Still doesn't.
Yeah,
It still does
yeah.
it to this day.
It still doesn't to this day. So that was an interesting quote because
Zing.
I've never heard him say that there was a time when he didn't really know how to play his instrument, but he did admit that in
That
there.
one time.
Yeah. And right after that, right, of course, we know is when Nicky formed Motley Crue. So would we have had Motley Crue if all of that didn't happen? Probably not.
No.
So interesting kismet there. Um, and when Nicky was in the band with Blackie, he actually was so excited about it and thought it was going to be so big that he went and told his grandparents that this was the end of everything. He was going to be playing stadios. It was, oh my God, amazing. And he was fired the next day.
Oh, nice. Put
Yeah.
the cart before the horse there, Nicky.
Yeah. So the blades that he wears that everybody is familiar with on his arms and his codpiece, those are real blades, real
yeah.
saw blades.
Oh,
He
yeah.
has cut himself and other people on multiple occasions, so that's super fun.
Love it.
He's been shot twice. Did
Oh.
you know this?
Who
He's been
hasn't?
shot. Yeah, right. Due to he claims what he calls it is band related circumstances. So
Hmm.
the inference is that he was getting death threats back in the day when the PMRC was coming after this band and many other bands, but this band in particular for one song that was left off of this album. And he was being basically chased around by the radical right fundamentalist movement at the time. So
Any more details on where he was shot, or?
so he doesn't really share much about it, and honestly, I couldn't find a single article that claims like he went to the hospital. You know how like back in the day it would have been like he's in the hospital. I found nothing like
I only
that.
heard he was
It's-
shot at,
Yeah,
but didn't
Ah,
actually get.
Interesting.
It
Or
sounds
he
like
claims to have been shot at.
Okay.
It
Well,
sounds
this
like
was a
PR
2005 interview where he claims he was shot twice. That was the quote.
That's a lie. It's a lie.
Yeah. Not a lot of collaborations with Blackie, which is strange with how many people have been in the band. But I found one with Alice Cooper and one with Lita Ford, and that was pretty much it. And some of these other bands that we've talked about have had lots of collaborations with lots of different artists, and he seemed to keep to himself, or at least make it seem like his project, his music, his stuff. I guess.
Sure.
I don't know. Yeah. So the last studio album of all new material was 2015's Golgotha, right? Which is a very, very different album from from their early work. Their early work was very, I don't want to call it satanic, but occult and shock and crazy. And this is almost a religious album. I don't know if you've read any of the lyrics, but Golgotha, obviously a religious place, a mountain, I think it was.
It was the place where the crucifixion occurred
Right. Okay.
in the Bible,
Yeah. Yep.
supposedly.
Yeah.
Historically.
Holy
So-
shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So this one is completely
Allegedly.
yeah. Very,
Wandered down a weird path here.
Yeah.
You still talking about the WASP album?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he's talked a lot about his movement from his early life in religion and then moving into the occult stuff and then coming back to religion more recently. And he said something that I thought was a little disturbing about that, and that was that he thinks that he says he wrote all of that bad stuff back in the day, and he doesn't even like to kind of play those songs anymore. He wrote all those old songs and did all of that crazy stuff so that when he came around again, he could teach everyone that it was wrong and show them that it was wrong, and now he's Christian and everything's good
More
and right
lies.
again.
More lies. I'm counting your lies,
Right?
Lisa.
It's not my lies. I'm
No,
I'm
not your
quoting
lies.
this
His
stuff.
lies.
Okay.
His lies.
Yeah. So that's a craziness to me is to say that anyway. The most
I drank a whole bottle of scotch just to tell people it was wrong.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what it feels like.
Yeah.
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 So
I smoked a bunch of crack. Don't do it. It's
Yeah.
bad.
so I think their latest release was if I'm reading this correctly, 2018, which actually was a re-release of Crimson Idol. Did you see that?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't see.
Yeah, and I haven't seen anything new since then. Blackie's had a lot of back issues throughout the years. I don't know if you've heard about this. So
Yeah. It's a mess.
yeah, he's had multiple surgeries to fix injuries. He had a broken leg that he had to refix a few times. He does a lot of like sports medicine and rehab and training. But one of the really interesting things I saw is that for his 40th anniversary world tour, which I think was 2022, 2023, right?
Yeah.
It ended in Sofia, Bulgaria. He says that during that tour, he got 8 epidurals just so that he could perform on stage.
Jesus.
And the last few shows, I think it was last 5 or 6 shows, he actually performed in a chair because his back was so bad.
Yeah, I think I saw a couple of those on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so when he watches his old footage from back in the 80s, which I did a lot of this past couple of weeks, he claims it's like watching someone else performing, like it's not even him, and that he basically doesn't want to do any of that ever again. So,
Oh, good. He's fucking 70. He shouldn't.
yeah. 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 Okay. So the current live shows, I don't want to make too many comments about that, but they're pretty horrifying if you go take a look at them. Back in the day, WASP was the purveyors of free speech, right? They were fighting against the PMRC. They were the people who were against censorship. They were, you know, they didn't testify in front of Congress like Twisted Sister Dee Snyder did, but they were in that whole movement and everything. And today they are the exact opposite of the free press. So, yeah. Okay, Chris Holmes. So, Chris, famously known for his appearance, as Dave had said, in Decline of Western Civilization Part 2, where his self-confessed alcoholism was on full display. So,
Quickly.
yeah.
Spoiler alert. The kid with the blue sparkly bandana that was going to make it. He was going to make it.
Mhm.
Wet cherry.
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't make it. Just saying.
Yeah. So I think that Chris Holmes' scene in the movie is really the most famous scene in that whole movie, and it's the one that we all remember, right? So it's him sitting on the inflatable chair in the swimming pool and basically drinking an entire bottle. I think it was vodka.
It was
Yeah, okay,
vodka,
it was
and it was
vodka.
2 bottles.
Yeah. Yep. With his elderly mom watching along the side. Uh, Spoiler alert, he left the band a year later because of his issues with alcohol. So, yeah.
Fucking
Um,
mess.
yeah. So, the intention that scene was actually not originally supposed to be even filmed or in the movie. They had planned a face-to-face debate between Chris Holmes and Tipper Gore.
Ooh.
Yep. And at the last moment, Tipper Gore pulled out because her husband decides he's running for president. And in that case, they came up with this other idea, which is basically he was sitting in his pool and he was like, just turn on the cameras and we're going to see where this goes.
I
And
like what we
yeah.
got. I like
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
got.
Yeah. And
We
yeah,
got magic.
Yeah, we
yeah,
wouldn't be
yeah.
talking about the Tipper Gore interview.
Exactly. We wouldn't at all. No one, it would be forgettable. And that
Yeah.
scene was the glam, scene back in the day. That's what the bands were living. So,
Yeah.
that's what we remember. Um,
It was so real. That's what made it so shocking. It was like,
Yeah.
wow, this guy's fucked up.
yeah. Um, the band wasn't too thrilled about that scene either when it came out, is what I heard.
Well, they should have been. It fucking put him on the map,
It put him on the
basically.
map. I thought it was amazing, but I think
Free
everybody,
press.
yeah, maybe. But I guess like maybe they were already having problems with him, maybe, and from him leaving, so maybe that just made it worse. I'm
Everyone
not
was
really
talking
sure.
about it, though. No one was talking
Yeah,
about Wasp like they were after we saw that movie, and we're like, "Shit, fucking guitar player's nuts."
yeah.
Wet Cherry. Dave, did you say Wet Cherry? Was that the name of that band?
Yes,
That is so
that was the band he was in.
that is so fucking gay. Holy shit. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
So
think it's cherry with an I too.
so he continued working and producing groups and lots of Southern California metal acts. He actually took part with. He was in the Randy Rhoads documentary. He appears briefly in VH1's Rock Docs Do It for the band Women of the Sunset Strip. In 2009, Secret Society released Death by Misadventure. He joins Angels Suffer in 2010. So, he's continuously working. That was with the guys from Metal Church, I think, and one of the guys from Piper's Animal as well was in that band. Um, uh, Stet Howland was on drums. That's Lita Ford's drummer, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah.
Not
But
sure.
they toured Europe throughout 2009, 2010, 2011. So he was continuously working. 2012, he did his first solo album very late for this type of an album, for a guitar album. He produced, managed, and distributed it himself along with his wife, Catherine. Um, he's a little spicy about his time in the band with WASP, as a lot of people are who, who were in the band at the time. Um, according to him, um, actually, according to most of the guys, there was a contract, right? There was a management contract, but only Blackie signed the contract. The rest of the band members were not on the contract. Everybody thinks we all signed to the label, but it wasn't like that. It was just Blackie, kind of as, I don't want to call it owner of the band, but certainly the only signer of the contract, right? Um, Even though he had a lot of input on the songs and claims that he did some writing, he only got songwriting credit on a couple of songs. He claims it really was a lot more. He claims that his input was essential to the band's overall sound. He says um, that he would have quit after the first album anyway, the way I play guitar. It's really important to writing these songs, right? If I hadn't joined in the beginning, that band would never have worked. So that's what he claims. There's a disagreement for royalty payments. He claims he receives no royalties to this day from the band, and he's not happy about it. However, Lawless has snapped back on that, claiming that he did receive a payment, even though it isn't continuing royalties. And there was a big settlement, and there was a lot of money here and there. And Blackie claims everybody who was involved was paid just fine and agreed to it. And I
Lump
don't know
sum,
who's right. Yeah,
lump sum of
lump sum.
$2,700.
Yeah, yeah. Holmes claimed that there's money and songwriting credits that he's due. Lawless says it's not true. I don't know who's telling the truth. I have no idea. So
Guessing it's not a fucking treasure trove of money on the royalties coming off these albums.
yeah, yeah. There's a documentary that Chris released called "The Mean Man: Story of Chris Holmes," where he goes into depth on his, basically what he calls financial exploitation from this band. Um, he signed documents. He was paid well, according to Lawless, but yeah. He married 3 times. His first marriage was to Kaylin Rogers in '85, only lasted 2 years. He dated Lita Ford, and he was married to her from 1990 to 1992, 2 years. Love Lita. Yeah, big fan of Lita. He's now married to Catherine Holmes from 2012.
Nice.
Yeah, in 2014, he and his wife moved to Finland. And then they moved to France, which is where they live now, in Cannes.
Ooh wee.
And in 2022, he was diagnosed with throat cancer, underwent chemotherapy. I understand he is now cancer-free.
Oh, good.
He plays a lot of Jackson guitars, a few Gibsons, but there was a Ibanez Destroyer in red, and he says that this guitar was borrowed from the great Eddie Van Halen for the recording of Women and Children first album. Did you know
Borrowed
that?
by Eddie.
I wonder
Or
what that would
by
go
Eddie? Oh,
for.
by Eddie. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would that go for on
Oh.
eBay today?
I know, right?
Yep. The story is that Eddie had a Ibanez Destroyer that he played on the first album,
Mm.
and one day he decided to sort of give it a makeover with a chainsaw. And
Oh.
if you've ever seen Eddie's, it's called the Shark guitar, and it's got a chunk out of the end, and it's got some turnbuckles built into it. That was that guitar.
Oh.
And he says that after he did that, it just never sounded right again. So he wanted an intact Ibanez Destroyer to record with. So
I
he
see.
borrowed that one from Chris.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
Dave, my old guitar player Nikki, right? At the time I was living with Dave Hull from Fahrenheit, Joe Perry Project, and he had bought this amazing Eric Clapton signature series silver custom shop Fender Stratocaster. This was David bought this guitar, and it
Right.
was gorgeous, and he loved this guitar, right? But he had to sell it. He's looking to get rid of it. It was like, this guy had a million guitars and basses, as you can imagine. So Nicky said, I'll buy it from you. And this guitar, Dave would wipe it down. It was his baby, right? So Nicky buys this guitar from him and decides he's going to relic it himself.
Oh,
So
no.
he takes like sandpaper to it. He burns the headstock with cigarettes. He like rubs honey all over it. He takes chunks out of it. And he comes over to my house months after he bought this thing, and he opened up the case. And he's like, "Hey, Dave, check out the guitar. I relicked it." Dave was like, "No."
I have really strong feelings about guitar relicking, and
Oh,
it's not good. Yeah.
oh, yeah. This was a
You
fucking
need to
crime.
earn your relicking, right? You can't just go and like do that.
I have a 1974 black Les Paul custom that is properly relicked.
That's how they should be.
I love this
Yes.
guitar. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Okay, Randy Piper, rhythm guitars. So when I did some research on him, it was funny. I didn't find a lot of like modern, in the last, we'll call it 10 years, information on him. His website looks like it's MySpace from 1999, if anyone
Awesome.
has seen it. It hasn't been updated since 2016, when Wasp's debut album was inducted into the Decibel Hall of Fame. Um, he owned, this is kind of funny, before. Um, .net, not just, so it's randypiper.net, not
Oh,
randypiper.com. Before WASP,
pardon me.
Holy
be-
shit.
yeah.
Well,
bef-
we.
so before WASP, he owned a record store called Wheatstone Bridge Discount Records in Long Beach, California. It's no vintage vinyl, but at least it's a record store. What
Few
can you do?
things are. Few
Few
things
things
are.
are vintage vinyl. Um, he owned Magnus Opus Rehearsal Studio in 1978, and of course was in a bunch of bands with all of the guys: Starwood, Sister, Circus Circus. And he joins Wasp in 1983. We've already talked about the band Animal. I think you mentioned them. He also played with Alice Cooper for a while. He worked on the Constrictor album and actually recorded some parts of that, but he didn't end up touring. And he claims it was because he didn't have his shit together at the time. He had some bands after Wasp: King's Horses, 90 to 93, Where Angels Suffer in 2010. He also performed in honor of Alice in Chains bassist Mike Starr at the memorial concert. And there's a mention of a band called Piper's F4, okay, as a band. However, I can't find anything on this band. I can't find any recordings. Their website no longer exists, but there are listings of them all over the place. So if anybody knows anything about them, I was unable to find anything. Something he's really well known for, especially in the Wasp days, was his crazy guitars. I mean, some had some crazy paint jobs, but really they were almost like artistic sculptures in some
Yeah,
ways.
they were awesome.
Reminiscent maybe of Kiss almost, like, would you think? Like those just craziness, like
No.
shaped all
Crazy.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit like Gene Simmons, Axe Bass, that type of deal. Sure.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so he claims that he wrote all the guitar parts, all his guitar parts on the album, but and he wanted to help kind of shaping the songs and writing some lyrics, but Blackie wouldn't let anyone else write any lyrics. He wanted all of the songwriting credit. Then he wanted all the producer credit. Then he wanted all the engineering credit, and then he wanted to play all the instruments. So it really wasn't worth it anyway.
What? It's insane. This guy
Yeah.
fucking Prince.
Yeah. So, and then he says that Blackie was more of a businessman. He had an ulterior motive that no one was aware of, no one in the band at the time. Like they were all out on the road, working hard. And it's hard to kind of be touring and also like handle the business end of things when you're on the road. So they feel like he feels like it was kind of all swept out from under them when Blackie was doing all the business deals kind of without them in a sense. They did 2 tours with Kiss, 2 tours with Iron Maiden, and that was a lot of work. And they didn't get to talk business very often, and he kind of feels like the rest of the band was left behind because of that. He said he knew it was time to leave the band when Blackie said, "I've got an idea for the third album." And he said, "Oh, cool. What is it?" And he said, "It's me in front like this on the front of the album, and me in the middle of the album like this. And when you open it up, it's me here too." And then he was thinking to himself, "So where's my picture?" And it was just all about Blackie. So he was like, "Okay, I think that's enough." So
Team player.
the team player, yeah, yeah. So very little on Tony Richards. Also, he was making a name for himself as one of the hottest drummers in LA with a band called Dante Fox, which later became the band we don't like to mention, Great White. He also apparently is supposed to be in another band right now called Della Vella. This is another band that supposedly exists. It's with Carl Della Vella on bass guitar and Lee Oliver on lead guitar, but I can't find anything about them. So I'm not sure if that's still up to date
Della
information.
Vella doesn't
Della
like
Vella?
roll like fucking Van
Mm,
Halen, does it?
yeah, and
Such a
that's all
good
I've got.
name.
That's it.
That's a lot for Wasp. I like it. You're well prepared. I did a little research while you were talking, and I actually have the origin of the name.
Hmm.
It is out there. So Wasp, what it was Blackie Lawless was actually in an Italian restaurant in Greenwich Village, and he ordered the white wine asparagus spicy sausage penne pasta, which is Wasp. That's a fucking lie. That's a lie.
Fabulous.
Okay. Okay, great. So there you go. Let's do some quick opening thoughts on this one, and then we will break the album down for you. So in 1984, this was one of my favorite, if not my favorite album. Me and my friend Kendall would play it to death. And my mom drove us into Boston to see them play at the Orpheum Theater, and they fucking kicked ass. Now, The Last Command is obviously Wasp's best album. It's not even close. But the question is, did this debut album stand the test of time? Let's find out. Dave, did you listen to the album all the way through before preparing for the podcast?
I have heard it before.
Okay.
Again, as with most music of this era, I sort of was late to the party. I didn't really hear this until I was into my 20s. They played a few of the safer songs on radio and MTV, so I knew who these guys were, but I don't remember anything about this album from back in the day.
Oh yeah, it was this fucking Evil Eye, Iron Fist, you know me, Evil Eye. Like these were all the metal bands I was listening to in 1984. I loved all this shit. Lisa, had you ever listened to the album before preparing for the podcast?
Well, yes, but mainly because my bestie Janae, this is her favorite band, and her
Nice.
favorite song is also on this album,
Ooh,
from the glam era. Now, it's not her favorite band of all time ever of any genre, but it is her favorite glam band.
okay.
She still plays this to this day. When I drive in the car with her, this comes on in all of her mixes. Um, However, back in the day, I don't think I owned this when it first came out. I was listening to, I definitely was listening to Motley Crue at the time. A lot of new wave stuff that was on the radio. I was real young, right? So, Aha, Duran Duran, Depeche Mode, Metallica, and maybe some Suicidal Tendencies. I don't think I got this album until maybe 86 or 87. So I was a little late on this one. And I can't say that I listened to it over and over back in the day either. I don't have a lot of memories until the PMRC controversy came out and the Satanic Panic of the 80s became basically the focus of my life. And then any band involved in that whole process, um, you know, we focused on. My brother was very, very, very into this band. He loved Overkill and Iron Maiden and Ozzy and Pantera and very much Wasp. I don't think I saw them play until the late 80s. I think it was maybe 89 the first time I saw them play. It was at, I want to say it was Avalon, or at least a club that was in that location. So I tried to go and look it up. And apparently, when they played there, it was called City Club.
Hmm.
And I don't remember City Club, but it was the Avalon location that I
I don't
saw
remember
them
that
at.
club either. It doesn't ring a
Yeah.
bell.
I don't remember seeing too much of them on MTV. I don't remember hearing anything of them on the radio, but I was young, so I wasn't staying up all night and listening to college radio. I was listening to, whatever was on the top 40s or that. So I do remember seeing the video, but not in 84, maybe not till 86 or 87. Yeah, so
Yeah, the charm of this album and Wasp is they were never mainstream. I mean, when we get to the
yeah.
power ballad on this album, it's going to say it all. I mean, this was they were a true metal band, and
Mm.
and he was as shocking as Marilyn Manson was in his prime. For 1984, Blackie Lawless was fucking out of control. He was writing songs like Fuck Like a Beast. He was throwing raw meat at people. He was, cutting the meat on his fucking dick blade. I mean, in
He was
1984,
drinking blood from
he
skulls.
was
Like, how
drinking
cool
blood
is
from
that?
skulls. I
There were
mean,
women on the stage half
yes.
naked being tortured,
Yes, and
right?
that is the charm of this, and it's
Mhm.
also why this band wasn't one of the huge metal bands from the day. I mean, you do all this in your Motley Crue, and you're not going to be Motley Crue. So he made an artistic choice. The world was not ready to embrace it, And I tip my hat to it because this is a very unique album, let's just say. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, let's rate the singer. This can be a tough one, okay? As always, it's 1 through 100, 25 on hair, 25 on style and stage presence, and 50 on vocal talent. I think that's the first time I've ever explained the rules correctly. So Blackie Lawless, he had awesome hair, right? Super long, super black, the weird gray strips. I mean, it was fucking awesome. He had amazing style and stage presence for 1984. It's very cool. All leather, just cool. Bonus points. Fucking killer bass player. Killer bass player. And he was a decent singer for sure. I mean, for the kind of music they were pulling off, I mean, yeah, it's fucking pretty damn good. His only shink was he needed just a touch more range to really bring some of these choruses in this album to the next level. But he never went for stuff he couldn't get. He always went for the notes that he could hit professionally, and he had a really nice compilation of harmonies that he would sprinkle in. And for such an aggressive album, it's pretty nice vocally. It really is. It's not hard on the ears. But he did have the dad bod, like I said earlier. And he felt a little creepy to me always. Like I was always like, oh, he's creepy. He's like
But
got
that's a
weird.
good thing.
Yeah,
Jeez.
no, but creepy. Like I imagine he like does weird stuff like sexually. I don't know.
Oh, a
Ew.
different kind of creepy then.
He just
Okay.
seemed creepy to me. But for me, Blackie Lawless pushing 81.9 watts for his shock rock style that set the bar for so many shock rock singers to come later down the line. So yeah, he was an originator. He was not a follower. He was a trendsetter. Dave, what do you think?
Well, the hair's fine. It was big and long, black with white streaks. Pretty cool. That's a 19.3. Style and stage presence is okay. You can tell he borrowed a lot from Kiss,
Okay.
from the spandex jumpsuit to some of his dance moves. 19.4 there.
I concede that Gene Simmons comparison 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll concede that.
The voice is good, pretty unique and identifiable. Unfortunately, not super flexible, a little limited, like you said. I'm going to give him a 25 on the voice. Total score 63.7.
Whew. Okay. I think my nostalgia glasses came into play here. Lisa, tell us the truth about Blackie Lawless.
How cool was he back in the day?
Okay.
Like that hair with the skunk, chunks in it. Tell me that isn't the originator of the emo scene kid hair from the late 90s,
Right.
right? With the
Okay.
chunky highlights or whatever. Oh
Sure.
my God, that's it. It was novel back then. You didn't see that with anyone. Was it a wig? Does anyone know? Were they
No,
extensions?
I
You
don't
think it
know.
was real?
I think it was real.
I think it was real. He might have been wearing some extensions, like for the
Mm,
video or something.
maybe.
He
So
would rock the
creepy.
bangs too. He would rock the bangs,
Rock
which
the
I thought
bangs,
was
which
cool.
is not common then,
No,
right?
it was
Yeah.
good.
But
It
Joe
was
Perry
cool.
used to have streaks in his hair in the 70s.
Yeah,
Mm,
Joe Perry was God.
yeah.
Keep going.
So great clothes, great stage look. Now you mentioned earlier he had a dad bod,
Yeah.
right? And
Sure does.
you think that too? So
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you what, back in the day I didn't notice that, or at least I didn't know what that meant. Like none of that registered with me back in the day. Although rewatching the footage now back then, I totally see what you're
Yeah, he's
talking about.
doughy. He's got
A
long,
little
thin
bit.
legs. Missed leg day at the gym.
He's got the moon face too,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, Dad.
None of this is a bad thing. I'm just making a comment. He could hold a stage. The thing, you said, oh, he's a great bass player, but you know what I think of that too? Was he hiding a bit behind the bass? Like he couldn't have just been a singer because he needed something to do with his hands. Do you know what I
I
mean?
think he probably would have been even better without the bass. That's my opinion.
Okay, good. Well, we might talk about that later.
Okay.
He was a shock rocker. Of course, satanic imagery covered in blood. Let's talk about the voice. This is a recognizable voice to me. He had a great metal voice. He had that gritty, high. I don't want to call it a falsetto, but that kind of screech, that metal screech.
Yep.
But he isn't super melodic. He's no Eric Ronwell. He's no Steven Tyler. He's not Sebastian. He's not. He's not a singer like that. But for a metal singer, he was great, right? His look has changed a lot over the years, and time has hit him a little bit hard. He still has the voice, though, and if you've heard him, he's still got it. So Des, I think you're going to be shocked by my score here. Almost all the points I'm taking off are for the vocals. I'm giving him an 82.82.
Ooh, we saw Blackie very similar. So there
Almost
you
the
go.
same. Yeah.
All right. Will you calculate those scores and tell us where Blackie Lawless lands on the frontman leaderboard?
Sure. On the Violent Vinyl frontman leaderboard, Blackie Lawless, the lead singer and bass player out on this album anyway, of WASP, hits number 8 with a total score of 76.14, just below Paul Stanley and just above, this is horrible, Davy Vane.
Okay.
Nope.
Nope.
Well, he's definitely taller than Davy Vane.
I don't think the formula worked on this
Oh,
one.
shit. Yeah. Well, I don't know, but Davy Vane is like 4 feet tall and his feet are dirty. So I don't know. It's okay. It'll work. Okay, that's awesome. So let's get into the tracks and our thoughts on this album. I'm excited. I was excited to put this on, guys, because like I said, I played this thing to death when I was little, and I have not listened to this album easily since like 1986 after I got sick of listening to it. So it's been a long time. I really didn't know what to expect. Track number 1, I Want to Be Somebody. Okay, so obviously this is the flagship of this album, right? I fucking love this song. It has a great arrangement with some really great chord changes. Like the rhythm guitars, lots of fun. They hit chords you don't expect. It could have been so straightforward and so simple, but they go out of their way to change a couple of chords where you don't expect them to go. And it really made it work for me. Um, Really simple bridge, but super effective. And it just sets up the chorus perfectly. Blackie Lawless, great vocals, great lyrics, and really good bass playing on this song. Chris Holmes rips a cool guitar solo. He's not overly technical, but unlike our last show with Christy Crash Majors, he's pro. And he brings a pro solo every single time. You never out of tune, never out of key, never hitting wonky notes. It feels like he's struggling to pull off. It's fine. Just good. It's what you expect. Fucking metal guitar player playing metal solos. It's fine. Dave, what did you think of this tune?
According to Wikipedia, it was ranked at number 84 in VH1's 100 Greatest Hard Rock Songs.
Mm.
The song's title is reportedly taken from an episode of Barney Miller, where Detective Ron Harris states that, God, I want to be somebody. Blackie apparently saw that, and it just inspired him to write a song.
I like it.
It was the first single released off the album. Great opening song. Starts with a drum fill and a surf guitar slide through cranked amps. Good vibe. Vocals are good. The mix is not great. You can barely hear the drums. Everything seems to take a backseat to the lead vocal.
Dave, I have to ask you this because I noticed right away the production was not great on this song. I remembered it being really good when I was little.
Yeah.
But the focus comes in and out on this album because there are a few tracks on this that have really good production where I can hear every instrument, drums, bass perfectly. And then there's other ones that just sound hollow. So it's weird.
Yeah, well, I think that might be, having 3 different producers, Blackie and Mike Varney and
Right.
Rick Brody and,
Yeah.
a lot of different input from people.
Because that's going to come up in my notes a couple of times where I say, oh my God, this song, the production is so much better than the last. Same Barney Miller, you really made me think of something. So lately I discovered Columbo, right? So everybody knows Columbo. Columbo, it's fucking, yeah. But did you ever really watch it? Of course not.
No.
Show
Nope.
from the 70s, which spans like slightly into the 80s. So I really love Monk. I've watched every episode. So I'm like, what's next? Columbo, right? So I watched it like one episode. I've now watched 12 seasons, binge watched it, every single one. Do yourself a favor. Go fucking watch Columbo. It's the fucking balls 100 watts show. Delin laughs. She'll come in the room and I'll be like, fucking Columbo knows. He's fucking on to him. He fucking knows. That dude's done. Sorry. Go ahead, Lisa.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I got a little bit more.
Okay.
Guitar solo is okay. Fits the song. Breakdown in the middle that seems designed for the arena, and the end part where they change up the guitar a little bit and add double kick ends it nicely.
Yes, a
I
lot of
thought,
nice double bass on this.
yeah, I thought the video was awesomely cheesy.
Mm.
Every 80s metal cliche, drinking blood out of a skull. And of course, the highlight is when Blackie lights the band logo on fire. Super badass.
So cool. See, this is where Motley Crue was smart. Like the Live Wire video, if they had like completely just stuck to that, they wouldn't have made it. It was too much. I loved it, but it was over the top. You got to scale it back just enough to get to where Motley Crue got to, in my opinion. Lisa, what do you think of track number one?
I have to keep reminding myself what year this was released when I listen to this
True,
album.
very important.
Yeah, because it's ahead of its time for
Yes.
a lot of reasons. So I have big memories on this song. The production, I immediately recognize that the production is a little bit muddy, but in a nostalgic kind of way, not in like a terrible kind of way. Good lyrics on this song. It's an anthem style song, super catchy. You can sing along to it the first time that you hear it. We've got a nice pre chorus with some metal screams from Blackie that fit perfect. We get an slightly awkward bridge that leads into the guitar solo. The guitar solo is good though. It's a metal solo. That's what we want here. Not the best solo we've ever heard ever, but it fits the song and it's fast and screeching and dark and a little bit evil, which is good. The kick drum behind Blackie's vocals when it goes kind of what did you call it, the anthems part of this,
Mhm.
the stadium part of the song. Wow. I couldn't get that out.
Yeah, the breakdown in the
the
middle.
the
Yeah, for
stadium
the
part,
arena.
the arena
Yeah.
part, that's what it is. Wow, I couldn't get through that. Yeah, so the arena part of the song, I love, and who doesn't love that, and who doesn't want to see that live and pump your fist and sing along with it. Nice guitar licks on the play out at the end with that screeching full halt that I absolutely love. Totally aces. The video is fantastic. Also, maybe a little bit ahead of its time. Some great performance footage, lots of leather and hair, synchronized guitar swinging, and so much smoke machine fog. I almost thought I was at Dave's performance.
Nice.
Not theirs. They're all looking straight into the camera like they're playing just for you. We've got some groupies in the limo. And of course, like Dave mentioned, they set the logo on fire and they never burned down a single club.
Nice. Nice.
Unlike other people.
Unlike other people somewhat related to this band.
Fucking assholes. Nice. Yeah. Fucking dude, edibles kicking in big time.
Yeah.
Okay. Number two. Yes, again, shout out to Betty's Eddies. If you want to get high, take a Betty's Eddie. Okay, there you go. Number two, LOVE Machine. That's Love Machine. Again, I love this iconic metal track. I think iconic's the wrong word. Maybe nostalgic is better because I don't know if everybody's heard this song. It has great double bass, Dave. I like this drummer a lot. I think he fucking kicks Steve Riley's ass myself. More great lyrics, another strong chorus from Blackie. These are strong choruses, but they're strong metal choruses. These choruses are not made for fucking, WBCN. Like this is not made for the radio for the 5 o'clock drive. And that's why WASP wasn't bigger than they were. And like I said earlier, his vocals never sound flat or wonky to me. They sound super pro, right? But in a lot of these songs, and this one in particular, like I heard the higher harmony in my head. My head was adding the harmony to the chorus. And with it, it brings this to the next level for me. And this is where sometimes your ego can get in the way. Unlike last week where they said, Steve, sit down. You can't sing. We have 5 people here that are fucking amazing. And we're going to make this chorus kick ass. He was like, yeah, do it, dude. This is where bring somebody in and have them just sing this chorus. Like, who the fuck cares? Credit them. It doesn't matter. Fine. Sit backstage with a microphone. Sing it every time. It would have brought this song to the next level. And same with the last one. So that'd be my only knock, really. But he gives you everything you want here. And he's not pushing or fucking the song up to try and hit notes he can't hit. And I can respect him for that. Dave, what'd you think?
This song was the third single released from the album. The song fades in, and you can just imagine a rock concert from the sound of it.
Yep.
The riff sounds a little 70s glam rock, like it's The Sweet or something. Not that that's bad. The first verse sounds a little empty with no guitar. The chorus is great, very nice accents on the drums, and added guitar with the vocals.
Yeah.
And double bass drum through almost the whole song. And how was this accomplished if the drummer was whacked out on drugs? Seems decently solid.
Imagine if he wasn't whacked out on drugs.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Guitar solo was a little sketchy. This must have been around the time Chris Holmes was guzzling booze from the bottle in his pool while his mom looked on disapprovingly.
Sketchy, but not sloppy, right? You think
Yeah,
sloppy?
it was like on the verge of losing it, but he just barely pulled the plane in without the wheels down and
Gotcha.
avoided catching on fire.
Unlike Vince Neil's pilot. Oh,
Oh, ouch.
Sorry.
Timely reference
oh
there. Yep.
God, a little too soon.
Mhm.
Okay, Lisa, talk about the song.
So this song has a fade in opening, which is weird and different.
Not a
And
fan.
yeah, not a super fan of that. Not a fan of fade outs for that matter. So
Right.
this is but I did love the metal vocals on this song. I remember my brother blasting this song back in the day, and thinking how I loved kind of the kind of whine, the screechy whine to his voice. Super catchy chorus. Um, for as sexy as the lyrics appear to be, if you read them, when you listen to the song, it really isn't. So it's much harder than most of the music of the time, especially in the glam genre. We get a cool metal guitar solo here that has its own voice, but what I noticed about it was it seemed to be laid on top of the music, and like almost like the rest of the music was pushed back, not in a good way. At least that's how I heard it. The drums also at one point come forward ahead of everything. Like it was very strange. It was like they picked out something to be on top at each point. I don't know why. Um, there was a dead stop in the middle, which I love. They did it right with the cymbal crash. Not a lot of bands do those dead stops right, but in this song it worked beautifully. There's a video for this song. I don't know if you saw it. It looks like a little mini horror movie where this very 70s looking couple are going on a date. And we get Blackie's face behind a plasma ball in like this creepy dream sequence when the woman goes to sleep and she astral projects like into this world of Blackie where there's like nurses in lingerie
It's awesome.
and they like have her captured in a water box like where he's singing behind a podium and she's in the water in the podium. It's like really bizarre imagery.
Okay.
A little bit like Alice Cooper-ish. Like, is it a dream? Is it a nightmare? I have no idea, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. There's also some great live footage of this song back from 1984. There's also some great live footage of this song from 2003 at the Roundhouse in London.
Oh, cool.
So
I got to look for that video. I feel like I've seen it.
Crazy.
I feel like I've seen it. The crystal ball thing makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar to me. Cool. Track number 3 is called The Flame. So this one, badass, right? And starting with Blackie Lawless's lyrics, I have to just return to this because he writes the grimiest, most aggressive lyrics, and I fucking love it. Such a breath of fresh air from what was going on at the time. I mean, he was not writing for the radio. He was not writing for the ladies. He was writing for the young kids with too many spikes around their arms and their fucking black leather glove. And he was just like, fuck yeah, I loved it. I loved it. The chorus, great melody, but the repetitive lyrics kind of fucking hurt this chorus. This was the weakest part of the song for me, but I still absolutely loved it and remembered it like it was 1984. Dave.
This one sounds a little like Blind in Texas from their next album, except not quite as good.
Not quite as good.
The lyrics, I think, are bad. The song is pretty generic early 80s rock. The bridge is embarrassingly simplistic with lyrics like, show me the spot and I'll hit the mark. Baby, I got the gasoline and you got the sparks.
That is exactly the lyrics that I picked out. Exactly.
That's so awesome though. When you're fucking 14, you're like, yeah, the mark. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna hit it.
Yeah. The writing on this one is credited to Blackie, Chris Holmes, and Jay Marquez. The majority of the other songs were written by Blackie alone, so I gotta wonder if there was too many cooks in the kitchen on this one, just screwing it up.
Well, there were a bunch of other words, but Blackie knew we wouldn't get royalties on it, so he's like, "We're just going to go with these 3 words." Lisa, what you think of the tune?
So when this first comes in, I'm like, oh, gritty, bluesy, maybe like a tip to 70s blues, but also maybe a precursor to the sleaze blues that we would hear from LA Guns years later. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how my gut feeling first.
Yeah,
But
we'll
as
get
we
to
went
that.
on, as we went on, I realized that really isn't what it was. It was just kind of the beginning. There's too much rhyming in this song. Thank goodness Blackie delivers these lyrics great, because if he a lesser singer, I would be like, ugh, this is like too much cheese. But he does deliver them, really good. There's a bridge in this song where the tempo comes down and the drums come to the front, and it's a little bit awkward and very cheesy as far as the lyrics that get featured here, which is the lyrics that Dave also shared. Um, I don't have a lot of memories of this song from back in the day. It's kind of one that faded into the background, but I've definitely heard it since then. It's come on in Janae's car over the years.
Nice.
There's no official video, but there's some great footage of them playing this in '84.
Cool. So it's funny you mentioned LA Guns because we get to track number 4 called Bad. And now we all know where LA Guns got the riff for Never
Yeah.
Enough because it's the exact same guitar riff.
Yeah.
And strangely enough, he's also got the exact same guitar sound. So I really like the sound on this track, guitar wise. It's so Tracy Guns. Just took me right to that first Tracy Guns album, that first LA Guns album. The production on this song is really good. This is where it finally, track 4, and we finally get some good production. I can hear everything, especially the bass, and they've been burying the bass. And Lisa, you were talking about how they're bringing things up to the front. They never
Yeah.
brought this great bass up to the front, so
Right.
I
Yeah.
can hear it here. I remember loving this track, and I still do. It's simple, but in 1984, this album, this was shocking. This was just, I remember seeing this cover and seeing these videos and, hearing these stories. And, people always like to, amp it up. "Oh, I saw fucking Blackie Lawless. He ripped the heart out of a fucking chicken," or whatever they tell you, and you're like, "Oh, it was awesome." Um, and as for the fucking Ross singing on this, he delivers nice harmonies over it. So we get these raw, fucking gritty metal vocals. But he was always smart enough to put that nice little buttery harmony in the choruses. And I don't know, it made it come to another level. It's some weird, like, it's its own thing. It's not hair metal. It's not metal like Dio and all that stuff. It's just, it's Wasp. It's Wasp. It's white wine, asparagus, spicy sausage, penne. That's what it is. Dave.
Pretty rocking guitar riff to start this one with the 80s metal style intro. They could have gone for a key change into the verse to shake it up a little bit and just give it a little variation, um, but they didn't. Blackie hits a rare high note for him. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I did not like the chorus. Why are these guys obsessed with acronyms? I'm going to give this song a rating of TSS. This song sucks.
Oh, no.
Generic guitar solo, nothing special.
Oh, shit. You guys, you're
Yikes.
talking my score down. I have a high score.
Sorry.
I might have to deflate this a little bit. You might talk me down from my nostalgic perch. Lisa, talk about the song.
So immediately I heard LA Guns in the beginning.
Okay.
Also heard maybe a little AC/DC. And I actually had to look and see who came first, and it was AC/DC. So a little mix there. Nice cadence on the lyrics. But here we're spelling the word again. Now you're talking about acronyms, right? So back in the day, I didn't notice this at all. Okay. The band's name is WASP. The previous, the second song, LOVE, and now this song, BAD. I didn't notice this trend back then. And I only got it now. And I'm like, why are they doing this? They were like, okay, let's spell a word and write a song around it multiple times. Like, that's just
It's an
bizarre.
odd formula.
Yeah, odd formula. I did not get this back in the day, though. I don't know how I missed it. We got a nice scream from Blackie. The lyrics seem a little forced as the song goes on. It's metal. It's fine. Every song is kind of an angry anthem. That's good. I'm not angry. I'm still interested in the album. Um, the vocal blend, and I think you said there was like a harmony in there, was really nice. And again, they bring that to the front. Again, that's what we're featuring here in this song, is the vocals. And everything else kind of gets pushed to the background, not in a bad way, because they actually had that nice harmony. So yeah.
Nice. So the next song, track number 5, is School Days. And Dave, this is funny. Like the synergy on this fucking show now, we're really like just plugged in. We're working like a finely tuned engine. So you were talking about how it could have used a key change, right? The
Yep,
song.
the last one.
So in this one, I talk about how the album needed a key change, how it's starting to become very monotone and one note, right? So,
Yep.
but the intro brought me back to being 7 years old, starting my day with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I swear I had like somehow blocked this out of my memory of being a child. We used to fucking start every day off with this. They
We
would
did.
stand us
Sure.
up and
Mhm.
make us fucking it was crazy. Like that's crazy to me that we used to do that. And if you told a kid that today, they'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here! No way! You guys
Yep.
did that? Oh yeah, we did it." Unfortunately, this song has a one note arrangement. It is so monotone throughout, and by this time in the album, as much as I love it, this song, first of all, felt extremely flat and boring. But by this time, the album is starting to get that like let that hum like that and I'm like starting to get a little bit bored. The songs are starting to kind of blend into each other, but they're all cool metal songs, so I was fine with it. But yeah, it's in need of a couple of more fucking spices. This soup is starting to get a little bit boring. Lisa,
No,
Dave, Dave.
Sure.
You guys take
Uh,
some edibles with me next time. It'll be fun.
This was single 2 to be released off the album. We start, like we said, with some kids reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. It always seemed that Blackie had visions of political statements and high concepts, but then can't stop writing songs about his wiener.
Yeah.
That's one thing I just never got about him.
Wiener rock.
Yeah. Hey, man, turn it up.
Turn it down.
So here's your standard 80s school sucks song. The Runaways had their own song called School Days that they did way better.
Sure.
But back to Wasp, it's okay. Guitar sounds pretty good. What we can hear of the drums, we get some tom fills, and when the lyrics mention a fire bell, they have a little drum ride cymbal overdub that was too loud, but that was kind of cute adding that in there. But we're not doing great so far. We got 2 bangers on the album and 3 duds, according to me.
You're taking, dude. You're talking me into this thing. Fucking yeah. Go ahead, Lisa. Talk about it.
Okay, we got a school themed a school themed
What?
song. What is wrong
You were
with
talking
me
about
today?
thongs. And, you're like we got a thong and fucking
Wow.
got some
I can't
capers.
I can't get out of my own way lately.
Okay.
Like I'm
That's
just
awesome. I love it.
awful.
It's
Okay,
great.
school themed song, which is a common theme in metal and glam back in the day. Um, Nice guitar opening. The lyrics are as expected. School is a prison. We're waiting for school to be out, like Alice Cooper. This is not Hot for Teacher, although they were released in the same year. Blackie is a year younger than Eddie was at the time, and they were both well too old to be singing about schoolgirls. Lyrics are a little repetitive, but I do like the gang vocals in this song, as I usually do in most songs. Dave mentioned the bell. They hit basically the bell on the cymbal to simulate the school bell. I actually loved that part. It was super cute. A lot of feeling in this guitar solo, but it's super short. It's like a few seconds, so that could have been longer. Not my favorite song, but it's an okay ending to the first side. There's no official video for this, but there is some great audio from the 1982 WASP demo with Randy Piper as the singer. It's obviously a demo, so it's rougher production, clearly. Um, but he does have a metal voice, but it's maybe not as charismatic as Blackie's voice. But there is a badass guitar solo on this one. So go and listen to that with the much longer, much better guitar solo. It's so bluesy and so raw and just really worth the listen to hear it. It fades into a really cool bridge section with the bass comes forward in this arrangement. So if you want to hear the more of the bass, go back and listen to this 90 ugh, listen to me today 1982 demo. I think they should have used this version on the album.
Did you guys take edibles ever?
No,
Not.
I cannot. I'm like losing words lately. I can't get out of my own way.
Holy shit! You know,
It's
I've
awful.
started. I bought a. I'm so weird. I bought $150 bottle of honey. Yeah,
What?
it
Of
came today.
honey?
Yeah, it came today. It's Manuka honey. It's supposed to be good
Gold
for your.
bees or something? What?
It's from another country, and it's called Manuka honey, and mine is like got these like super high ratings. So yeah, $150, like a little thing like that big,
Mm,
and yeah, I eat it, a
I'm
tablespoon
in.
here and there. It's supposed to like
Yeah,
help your memory, like heal everything. I don't
that's
know.
what I need.
Yeah, try it. Yeah, look into it. Manuka honey. There you go. Hey, if you want to support the
I
show, Manuka honey.
my brain moves faster than my mouth is the problem.
So,
So
do you guys think, forget a 7-year-old, do you guys think if you asked 10, 20-year-old kids today, can you recite the Pledge of Allegiance? Do you think they could do it?
No, I think maybe one or two max.
so
Max.
my sisters are 21 now. They can, but I don't think a lot of kids could.
Yeah, I get the sense that you're from an intelligent family. I'm talking about the average
Yeah,
dumb American.
true. Okay, fair.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so that's it. That ends side A. If you're listening to the show on vinyl, it's too stupid. Go ahead and flip it over. Listen to the other side. It's not clever at all. It's not clever, but I'm going to keep doing it. So I came up with a quick fast five this week, just for the hell of it, because nothing ever happens. So here we go. The fast five this week. Further talent level. Did the band underachieve, overachieve, or just reach expectations? So I will give you a band and you will tell me what you think, and then I will give you the correct answer because my answer is always right. So here we go. Number one, Motley Crue. Lisa.
I think they overachieved.
Dave.
Yeah, overachieved for sure.
And the correct answer is Motley Crue overachieved. Everybody knows that. Number two, Rat. Lisa.
Oh, underachieved.
Dave.
I will agree. Under.
I believe that Rat reached expectations. I
Really?
think that they did exactly what they were supposed to do.
I had much higher expectations based on them individually for that.
Hmm. think it-
I loved them, but
Huh.
yeah.
You're welcome to your opinion, but the correct answer is expectations were reached. Okay. Number three, Faster Pussycat. Lisa.
Oh, overachieved.
Dave.
I would say underachieved.
Really?
Correct answer is they overachieved. Come on, guys. They're lucky they ever had a single
Overachieved.
fucking hit. Overachieved. Fucking
They should
Take Me
have
Down
more.
made fucking prime rib out of fucking chuck steak.
And you know what? Good for him.
Yeah. Oh,
You know?
dude, you guys.
Kudos to him. Yep.
Dude, the biggest Faster Pussy Fat Cat fan in the. Ah! Okay. Number
You're
four.
turning into me.
Number
Uh-oh.
four. Number four. Poison. Lisa.
Just achieved.
You thought
Just
they got to where they should be. They
got to where they should
reached
be.
expectations.
Yeah, reached expectations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lisa's not on her game tonight. She couldn't come up with the middle answer. She didn't know what it was.
Number two.
She didn't know. She's like, I don't know.
The
By a
middle.
vowel. The middle one. Dave, talk about it.
I think they definitely overachieved for what they had going on.
The correct answer is Poison fucking overachieved like 1,000 times over. They became one of the biggest bands in the world and are still to this day making money.
Some good songwriting though.
There's some great songwriting.
Yeah.
Some great songwriting. In number five, well, it's funny. I was making a comparison between Poison and Faster Pussycat, right? So Poison had the good singer and the good guitar player, where Faster Pussycat had the two good guitar players, but the singer was a little bit wonky. So depends on where your strengths are. You know what I mean?
Mm.
All right. Number five. I love this one, and I know the answer. Hanoi Rocks. Lisa.
Oh, underachieved.
Dave.
Definitely underachieved.
Yep.
And the answer is they underachieved. They should have been the biggest band in the world.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
there you go.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, this is the band that fucking Guns N' Roses wish they were.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's it. We're gonna get to side B now. Track number 6. This one is called Hellion. I really love the bass on this song. Blackie is definitely a decent bass player. Their writing formula, though, is a bit repetitive. Let's be honest. It's similar. You get bridge, break, chorus, arrangements. It's not fun. I mean, when they do the break, like you said, Lisa, and he hits the hi-hat and you get the break once, it's clever, but they're doing it almost every song now.
Yeah,
And
fair.
yeah. I did like this dirty dual guitar solo. I couldn't tell if they were both Chris Holmes or if Randy Piper got to rip a lead on this album. But yeah, I thought it was good. And musically, I keep getting little sense like of LA Guns, especially on the
Mm-hmm. Yep.
guitars, right? Like just from time to time, I'm like, oh, that tastes nice. I'd love to ask Tracy Guns if he was a fan of this album, if he grew up, learning these riffs and playing it, because definitely hearing a little on that LA Guns album. Dave, what'd you think of the tune?
Yeah, I'm sure he must have been going to WASP shows
Okay.
all the time.
Yeah.
I would be willing to bet money that he was a fan and a Chris Holmes fan. But nice lively guitar and drums to start this one, and they turn the beat around to give it a little extra zip. Song is pretty cool so far. Sounds to me pretty similar to Fistful of Diamonds from the next album. You shouldn't be recycling your songs by the second album. Just saying. The guitars sound better on this solo. Finally, they got some Red Bull in them or something. This one's okay, maybe a little better than just okay.
And do you think
like
it's both the guitarist,
I,
or
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar enough with either of their sounds to be able to say for sure who's playing what, but
My gut told me it was Randy Piper in that second solo, but I can't be sure. It's funny. I was asking Delin about the Tracy Guns thing. I'm like, I'd love to know. She goes, why don't you have Lisa call him? Lisa, go ahead.
I'll
Talk
get right
about
on
the song.
that. Oh, they have a new video. Did you see?
I
LA
did
Guns?
see it. I thought it was
Oh,
really cool. Yeah,
fantastic.
I thought it was
And
really fun.
Ace with his bubble gum.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah,
Yep.
looking good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love the bass
Um,
player keeping that old LA Guns thing going.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
So nice opening on this song with some layered vocal screams that pan the speakers back and forth, left, right. Did you catch that?
Oh, yeah.
Little bit jarring and something that probably wouldn't be done today, but back then it was probably like super cool to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Little
Totally a
weird.
metal song with hell and devils and all the things that the PMRC hates. Gotta love some satanic metal for the Satanic Panic. This one is definitely for me. Love the drawn out Hellion in the chorus. Nice bridge. The gods you worship are steel. At the altar of rock and roll you kneel. Perfect. You have great guitar solos on this
Like
one.
it.
Not too did you like that? not too complicated, but and very dark. I love the stick ending. It must be great to see this live. I have not gotten to see them play this song live. I totally related to this song back in the day. I totally relate to this song now. Nothing changes when everything changes. There's no official video to this one, but there is a demo version from 1983 where we get Blackie singing. It's audio only, but if you can find it, it's the video portion of it is a stream of photographs of them from back in the day, like in the studio and just hanging out. That is like super cool. And there's kind of a sound insert before the chorus where he growls the word Hellion that was left out of the album version but should have been left in. But overall, other than that, it's very similar to what's on the album.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, track number 7, Sleeping in the Fire. Man, I'm struggling now. I'm trying to stay lucid while I'm reading these things. I'm having trouble reading my notes. I'm like, yeah, then that was cool. So this is a very refreshing power ballad for me. Not full of mushy gay lyrics like some of the ones we've been listening to. It's dark, it's heavy, it has very dark lyrics. Chris Holmes plays pretty good solo here for a guy, like I said, that, built this career on just being a crazy maniac, alcoholic, guy like that. I mean, he's got some pretty decent metal chops. I'm not sitting here wowed like, oh, I wonder if I could learn that. But I liked it. It worked for me. And Lisa, I wish that they had tucked these solos into the mix a little bit more.
Yeah.
They would have sounded better. Like some guys you tuck into the mix, some guys you push out front. This guy is a tuck into the mix, but
Mm.
not in the bad way. It's funny. I'm not a guitar shredder. It's not my thing. But lately I've been like staying up at night watching like how to shred on fucking YouTube. So I'm working on my shredding. I don't know why.
Are you getting a lot of Satchel videos from
Uh,
Steel Panther?
I just, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's always fun to learn something new, right? Dave, talk about the song.
Ooh, we get the ballad here. Some acoustic guitar and sensitive Blackie. Music is pretty good. We get some sky-high vocal oohs right before the guitar solo. Something a little different. Solo starts okay. It gets a little bit loose at the end. And then we hearing all about Lucifer's magic and sleeping in the fire. This would have made a killer video. They should have made a video for this one.
Sleeping in a fire. Oh, Lisa, talk about sleeping in the fire.
Oh my gosh. So, power ballad, but this is 1984, right?
Yep.
So I had to go back and figure out when was the first power ballad, right? So there's an argument over this. So is it Styx or Zeppelin? Like which side are you on? I don't know. But one of them apparently had the first power ballad of all time. Stairway to Heaven, yep. I don't know. I felt like
I feel like fucking Led Zeppelin has earned the victory in this
Okay.
battle.
Fair. Yeah. And I totally agree with that, but there is like an online argument of who
Styx.
had the first one. Yeah. Um, this being a power ballad, it was very interesting to have like a romantic song with satanic imagery, which is awesome to me.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. There's a nice bridge in this song. It breaks up the song nicely, which is needed at that point. Bringing it down into a minor key with some great metal screeches, and I don't even mind the ooh before the guitar solo. It's like a sing-songy ooh.
Yeah.
Don't even mind that. A lot of emotion from the guitar solo. It's long and extended, which is really needed in this song. It doesn't draw me in like a lot of power ballads. Like I don't have a fond memory of this one, of some like big romantic thing or a dance or something. We do get some nice, right?
They didn't play
They
this
didn't
at your
play this.
junior prom.
No, they
You
didn't.
weren't walking in a tight circle
No.
with some young guy.
No. And you remember every album like needed one of these back in the day,
Sure.
right? But this wasn't. It didn't totally fit the bill, I guess. I don't know. We get some kind of solo-ish shredding behind the lyrics towards the end. And I'm totally interested again as the song fades out, and I actually want more of the guitar shredding. I don't want it to end at that point. There's a demo version of this from 1982, which has a less clean acoustic opening. Um, I liked the vocals on the demo way more than the actual final version that made it onto the album. They're way more emotional and have so much more feeling, and less like, I feel like the one that ended up on the album, it was very practiced maybe, and he must have done 1,000 takes on it. The one on the demo is emotional and beautiful, and they really should have used that. It has a more metal backing track. It's not as balanced because it's a demo. The drums are a little bit overpowering on it, but it is quite different. There's another emotional guitar solo, but the solo on the demo has a lot of missed notes. It was definitely just one take, and they just kind of put it on there. Not necessarily a bad thing. It isn't shined up like the final version. So
Nice. Track number 8. I'm starting to get a little tired of this album. On Your Knees. But this was one of my favorite songs on the album back in 1984. I remember loving this song. Has great bass, great drums, cool lyrics, solid chorus. And Lisa, you were talking about the panning. So Blackie gets a little creative on this one, right? A little creative with the arrangement.
Yeah.
And a little creative with the vocal production, because we get the hard panning left and right on this one.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's weird. I don't like it.
Was it like the first time they got to use that, and they were like, "Let's use it all over the place"?
Yeah,
Like,
like,
just
hey,
too much.
what does this knob do?
Right.
Whoa. And Chris Holmes, nice sleazy guitar solo here. I like it. It's a good metal track. It's decent. Dave, what'd you think?
Music's cool. Good chorus on this one. The lyrics seem designed to shock audiences, mixing sex with bondage and a touch of religious themes. Some more good high notes and heavy vocal layering from Blackie. I thought the guitar solo was fine, although slightly sketchy in execution.
It's a little sketchy. It's a little sketchy. Um, Lisa, what'd you think?
Back to metal again.
Yeah.
So when you read the lyrics to this song, they read really sexy and like cool like that. But when you hear the song, I don't think it carries through. Like it doesn't feel like a sexy song to me. It's just friggin' metal, right? There's no subtlety to the song. They could have been singing about violence or partying, and I wouldn't have noticed the difference. They could have made this song somehow sexier, right? Catchy lyrics, the layering's okay, the back and forth maybe a little nauseating. Um, is it gang vocals or is he layering his voice over his voice? And neither is wrong. I'm just saying that
It,
I couldn't figure it out. So
it feels like Blackie, Dave.
mm,
Yeah, I think it's probably like 90% Blackie, and
mm,
maybe there's like one track with the other guys just yelling.
yeah,
I think it would have been better with someone else, like I said.
yeah,
Yeah, a little more balanced
Yep.
yeah.
group.
We
Yep.
get a cool guitar solo here. This one has its own identity, which I like. Even though the songs are blending a bit for me, this at least sticks out. The 83 demo of this one is much more punk and much less metal. The delivery is different. The tempo of the song is different. It's surprisingly well produced for a demo compared to the other songs. It sounds similar to the album version, except that it's a different tempo and a little more punk. I actually like it better, and I think they should have put this one on the album.
So, Lisa, do you think it was pre-punk or post-punk?
What is pre-punk? I still don't understand that. It's not post-punk. It is pure punk.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
What is? I still don't know what pre-punk is.
I'm not sure. Have you guys ever like undressed the whole Gigi Allen thing on YouTube? And Jesus, it's really quite a rabbit hole to go down. I mean, they've got these movies and these documentaries, and holy shit! Now, what kind of punk would that be?
You can make a whole career out of tearing down everybody else's music.
Holy shit,
Yeah.
man! That is some crazy.
Isn't that what we're
ass-
doing here?
Isn't that what we do on the show every week? I'm just saying. I was just saying, man. Gigi Allen, like, whew, that's punk. Like, that's punk.
That's punk.
Okay. Track number 9, Tormentor. I love this intro. I like these chains on what I imagine in my mind to be a torture rack, right? Song kicks in with some solid production. And like I said, Dave, it's coming in and out of focus on this album. Unfortunately, it's out of focus a little more than in focus, but it's on point in this song. And for me, this is the best Blackie Lawless you get. This is it. You get the lyrics, you get the vocals, you get everything that makes Blackie what Blackie is. And then we get this great build for this guitar solo, right? This section of you, and then you finally get the best solo on the album. This is the one. Love it. This is Chris Holmes at his best. This is Blackie Lawless at his best. I loved it. Dave, save me from myself here. One to go.
All right, so we got as you mentioned, some torture chamber sounds. The opening was cool. A lot of the album, I sort of heard Judas Priest influence maybe from these guys, and
Little
the
bit.
right, yeah, some of the riffs and everything.
Yeah.
The writing on this one is credited to Blackie and Chris Holmes. We got more torture, more fire, more sex. Did Blackie not get enough attention as a child?
Did anybody?
The song went on for maybe a little longer than necessary with the guitar solo whammy bar wanging at the end. I thought you might have a problem with that, but they could have tightened that up a little bit.
It was a little wonky, but it's Chris Holmes. He's drunk. Yeah, if you guys could read my awesome notes for track 9 and then what I actually delivered, it was very different. Lisa, go ahead.
So the torture chamber opening sounded a little bit like nails on a chalkboard to me,
Hmm.
which I guess is fitting for a torture chamber. So I guess that works. Music comes in with a great riff. The almost isolated vocals over the drums are really metal. You got Judas Priest. I got Ozzy. I don't like Judas Priest. Maybe that's why I got Ozzy, but definitely a little Ozzy
Come
influence.
on, Judas
Um,
Priest.
yeah, great chorus with gang vocals. Even though it's one word over and over again, it's still freaking cool. We get some evil lyrics. Probably the best vocal delivery on the album, and maybe the best in his career. I'll make that statement. I love the guitar solo here. It's nice and long. I love the descending scale in the middle of the solo. I love the guitar work at the end of the song. I'm giving Dave a horrible, dirty look right now. It
Yeah.
is angry and artistic, insane guitar work. I wish it was longer. Um, there's
No,
something right, and
I
Dave's like,
agree. Yeah,
"Ugh."
very. I wrote in my actual lyrics. I wrote very creative solo that fit the
Love
song
it.
like a glove, but that
Yeah.
never came out because I'm using the whammy bar in my notes now.
There's something about this song that makes me remember being a young and angry kid that loved metal and just wanted to scream.
Fuck yeah.
So as I'm listening to the song and the track, ends and it's getting ready to go into the next song, in the background, I can hear Dave practicing the White Lion solo, right? Um, Over and over again. And it reminds me why I love hard metal so much more, bands like Wasp, and why I want, Marduk or Celtic Frost or Bathory or Behemoth. I want stompy goth. I want angry, loud, hard style techno. I want, hard and heavy.
You want
Lard.
lard?
I want lard.
How do you eat your lard? You
I
fried or boiled?
want, yeah, I want hard music. I want heavy music. I want, stompy music. And, Dave's in the background just playing this beautiful, symphonic solo from White Lion. And yeah.
Dude,
I'm over here playing wussy metal.
you gave me the best idea for the name of a band. Are you ready for this? Hard Lard.
Hard.
That is the fucking shit right there. Woo. Okay.
You called it first. So.
That's like the fucking that's like the A side on track number 1 on the next Spinal Tap album, Hard Lard. Okay. Instantly my mind goes to a can of Spam. Track number 10. The torture never stops. All right, I'm going out. I think it's perfectly titled. I'm going out on top here. Ready? We get the final song on the album, and it's a great end. In this one, the bridge actually is ascending. It's the only bridge on the album that ascends. Every other one is a descending bridge. It was a nice change, and it ushers in this angry chorus perfectly. And finally, we get a killer guitar solo from Chris Holmes. He saved the best solo for last. I loved it. Dave, did you love this solo as much as I did?
I actually did.
Awesome.
Cool riff, and the silly lyrics kind of ruin it. Torture, master, blood. Yeah, we get it. You're super edgy. Bang, bang, banging in your head. You're banging on the walls. Hang, hanging up yourself. You're hanging by your balls.
Nice. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
The music is good. The guitar solo is even pretty good too. Apparently, the torture is stopping because this is the last song.
Lisa, it's satire. It's fucking satire right in front of us. This is awesome. Lisa, talk about it.
Another metal banger.
Nice.
No pun intended.
Nice.
Bang,
Fucking
bang,
hard
bang.
lard.
Yeah. You're killing me. I cannot get out of my own way. I like the vocal delivery on this song. I like the repeated words, even though it's a little bit simple. They're a bit depressing, but what metal fan didn't believe that life was torture, right? It was completely fitting. My favorite line in the song, and every day you lay down and play the whore, because that's kind of what life feels like. What a great line. There's some nice bass isolation. They actually lift the bass up in this song. I think this was the only place that I really heard that on the whole album. Solo's pretty good. I like the dissonant and unstable notes in this solo. We get a nice metal scream as the guitar shredding happens at the end. We had a nice stick ending, which is a perfect ending for an album. I thought it was pretty good.
I thought the show was fun, man. Everybody was a
Mm.
little fucking like on tilt today.
Can't.
it
Yeah, I
was, it
just
was
can't. What is
very
wrong with
loose,
me?
very
Blah.
loose program this evening. Okay.
Oh.
Nice job, guys. I'm glad you guys brought your game like always. I'm just here for yucks.
The bonus track.
I thought it would be fitting to put on Wasp's Animal Fuck Like a Beast for the bonus track because this was really the song that recruited me as a young metalhead into metal, right? This song holds a special place in my heart as it was, as I said, part of the recruiting of me into metal. The production is a bit hollow and janky, and the lyrics are all way over the top for 1984. Has a great bass track and solid drums. Blackie delivers a decent vocal, but he lacks the range to take the chorus to where it needed to be. And Chris Holmes delivers an overly simple, way too short guitar solo, but it fits the track. Definitely left me wanting more, like Lisa wanting more on track 9. Overall, the track is a bit messy and sounds more like a demo, but it is so unbelievably nostalgic. I had to give it 81 watts. Dave, what'd you think of it?
This was originally intended to be the opening track on the self-titled 1984 debut album, but was dropped before the album's released. Before the release, sorry.
Is it catching?
I think so.
Hard Lord.
Do we have a brain disease?
Jeez, there's something wrong with us.
Yeah,
Hard
so
Lord.
do we have a carbon monoxide leak in the house?
Holy shit.
Wow.
If we were all in the same room, I'd be worried.
So the song appears as a bonus track on the 1998 reissue. It was close to not being released at all after getting cut from the album, deemed too controversial by Capitol Records. They did not want to risk the album being banned from major retail chains. It was released as a single in the UK only a few months before the album. The single subsequently became a highly sought-after item in North America as an import. The PMRC, Parents Music Resource Center, had labeled the song as one of its Filthy 15, the infamous songs that the group determined to be morally objectionable.
Yeah.
So I listened to this one, now we're talking. This one seems more inspired, even though the lyrics are still kind of Blackie's standard bullshit. But there was good cowbell and drum fills. This should definitely have stayed on the album. Definitely up to the quality of the best songs that are already on it. Has been restored on later reissues of the album, as I said. In the early 2000s, Blackie vowed not to play the song live anymore due to his religious faith. He has become a born-again Christian. However, in October 2022, he did play it at the opening concert of the group's 40th anniversary tour at the House of Blues in Las Vegas. Maybe he's coming back to the dark side, or maybe he's a hypocrite and sick of people asking him to play the damn song they might be most famous for.
Well, if you look at everything that's going on with him now, hypocrite is the answer there.
Yeah. There's a video on YouTube that I'm not going to get into by another musician that has come out recently. And this musician says Blackie Lawless may not have been the nicest gentleman. You can search it out for yourself. Very easy to find. Won't even get into the topic. Lisa, fuck like a beast. Was it hard lard for you?
You are never going to let me live that down.
That is the greatest thing ever. That might be that's going to be on the back of the shirt. It's going to be fucking hard lard.
Oh, no. Okay. This song, what was supposed to be the first single, actually spent 110 weeks on the charts. Fuck censorship. Fuck the PMRC. Everything that they were doing was so much worse than what they were censoring. Fuck journalistic censorship today. Fuck the denial of the Constitution, and fuck everything else. This is a great fucking song.
It is.
Fuck all this puritanical bullshit. look behind the curtains at the people that are projecting their crap onto everyone else. How great is this metal scream? The animal scream, a great bridge. We get uh, Blackie's laugh, like leading into the guitar solo that is freaking awesome. This song has something special about it. It's a metal song, but it's sexy, and it's sexy in a way that the On Your Knees was not. We brought it forward on this song. That last animal scream at the end with a perfect play out. The B side of this was a song called No Mercy, which is a post apocalyptic song with a too short guitar solo. I think you should all check that one out too. I love this and I hate censorship. And it's sad to me that American audiences didn't get to experience it when basically the rest of the world did. So.
Yeah, I mean, in 1984, this was pretty racy. You're not going to get this album on the shelves at Sears with "Fuck Like a Beast" as the title track. So I can see why the label might have been like, "Guys, come on, what'd you think was going to happen when you wrote a song called "Fuck Like a Beast"?" Um, all right, so there you go. We've given you the bonus track. You know what happened tonight was I was so weird from the fucking coffee and the edible. It rubbed off. I made you guys uncomfortable and you got weird. Okay. So let's do some favorite songs. My favorite song on the album, obviously, I Want to Be Somebody. Song I would cut would be School Days because it sucks. I would replace a member of the band. I would kick out Chris Holmes and I would replace him with the great Tracy Guns, and this would be a much better album. Dave, take us through your thoughts.
Nice. Favorite track, LOVE, Love Machine.
I want my love machine.
Played by Dave's band to this day, I believe.
What? I never played
You
that
don't
song.
play Love Machine? I bet you did.
No.
Who is that I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
Oh.
Never played it.
Your other boyfriend.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that's like fucking rehearsing the cool guitar solos.
The real metal.
So yeah, I would cut BAD. It's right in the name. Bad.
It is. It is.
Replace a member. We'll get rid of Tony Richards and bring in Steve Riley sooner. I thought his playing was great on Wasp's second album.
Oh, that second album's killer. Album's killer. Okay, Lisa, same questions.
It's Love Gun that your band plays, right?
There you
Sorry.
go. Yes.
Very similar songs.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, favorite track. I'm torn on this one. I can't pick between Tormentor and Hellion, so I'm picking them both.
Okay.
I'm cutting On Your Knees because it just didn't have the right emotion for me. I'm not really replacing someone. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take away Blackie's bass.
Okay.
And I'm gonna make him be a front man, like a front man should be. I had a hard time picking a replacement for him. I thought I wanted Oliver Rydell from Rammstein to be the replacement, but he would have been 13 when this album came out.
That's okay. No time and space pays no.
Well, but then I said Alan Robert from Life of Agony, again, 13 years old. And I even considered Peter Steele, but I can't have him not be a front man. So I'm actually choosing Paolo Jr. from Sepultura for a more metal song and to free up Blackie to be more focused on being a shock rocker.
I like that. Would his name be Hardlard? Okay. Stage name.
Terrible.
Okay. So is that it? Is that everything?
Yeah.
I'm so unsure now. I keep second guessing myself. So everybody's done everything. We just need to do our final thoughts, score this thing. I'm going to let you guys go first because my score is way fucking too high. It's going to be embarrassing. Dave, you go first.
Okay. Well, this wasn't as good as I remember, but at the end of the day, 3 bangers, 4 okay, 3 duds. I guess I mostly stick to the good ones when I'm making my playlists. They are a competent band who maybe relied a little too much on being over the top and intentionally provocative. But, hey, it worked. They got somewhere and in the process made some badass 80s metal. My score is 73.
Okay, I like that. Lisa.
So I probably won't listen to this album back to, front to back again. Although I know that I will hear all of the songs riding along in Janae's car. This album reminded me of how much more I like metal and how much more I like harder music than I like glam, and how my tastes have so vastly changed over the years. I'm definitely a goth girl. I definitely like metal, and that made this album like much better for me than some of the others that we've heard. And honestly, it's held up over the years. Like I didn't catch that it was 1984 really that this came out. Like it felt a little more modern and definitely still listenable. But again, I'm a goth girl, maybe not my area, but Blackie, awesome. You can't get a cooler guy back in the day. I love the satanic imagery. I loved all of the stuff that they did for free speech back in the day. I'm disappointed what's happened to them now and how they've gone totally against all of that. But that doesn't reflect on what was happening in 1984. So I give this album a 76.
76. Okay, so I think I was right here with my score. I have this big thing written out. I don't want to read it. It was
Read
fucking
it, read
good.
it,
Okay. This
Good.
isn't
read it.
nearly as good as The Last Command, but it holds a special place in my heart. And this was a super nostalgic listen. It's also important to remember that this wasn't a traditional hair metal band, and this was a metal band. And for a debut metal album in 1984, it's pretty fucking awesome. For me, it's pushing at 80.1 watts. There you go.
That's a fair score. You thought that was too high?
I thought it was a
No.
little high, but it's good. I like it.
No, it's
Fits with
good.
you guys.
Yeah.
Good.
All
Okay.
right. So on the Violent Vinyl album chart, Wasp's 1984 self-titled debut album shows up at number 8, with a total score of 76.37. That is one slot under Alice Cooper's Trash and right above Aerosmith's Permanent Vacation.
Oh no. Oh
It's
no.
right smack dab in the middle.
Oh no. I like a
Formula
car
failed today.
formula failed today. Car just crashed. There's multiple fucking fatalities. This is not good. This is not good. That's okay though. It's all fun. You know what? When you're doing a show like this, it all is genres, right? That's a rock and roll album. This is a metal album, and come on. Okay, awesome. I love it. Guys, do yourselves a favor. Go to YouTube, and a buddy of mine posted a short, like 30-second video of me playing a guitar solo in 1992 at
What?
Narcissus in Boston. And you can find it under Touch Me Hooker Final Guitar Solo. And
Oh,
I had been smoking crack all night the night before. I weigh about 100 and nothing pounds, fucking purple and green hair, a black eye, but literally a black eye. And I don't even know what's going on. It's fucking, I watched it and I went, ooh, I don't remember being that weird. It's
I
fucking pretty
miss
cool.
that band so
Oh my
much. You
God,
have
dude.
no idea how much I loved seeing you guys play.
It's a great video clip. And at the very end, you see the band break up on stage where I pick the guitar up in a threatening manner and the band disposes of me on stage. So there you go. There you go. Go check
I
that
wish
out.
you guys would do a reunion show.
Never gonna happen. It's
Oh,
okay.
please, please.
Never gonna happen. Okay, so there you go, guys. Dave, you have got the next pick. So please tell us and the listeners what album we will be listening to for the next 2 weeks.
All right. Well, we are going to try a classic from 1979, some more local Boston guys. And unfortunately, Lisa probably won't be super happy.
1979 is not in the
Mhm.
wheelhouse, my friend. It goes against the rules. It has to be bands from the 80s or 90s.
Oh, Dave, you broke the rules.
We're
Broke the
not doing
rule.
hippie fucking patchouli shit on this show. Not happening. What was your original pick, Dave?
My original pick was the Cars.
No, not on this show. That's not hair metal. That's not hair metal. We're not doing
I
that.
like the Cars, ironically.
I love the Cars, just not on a show called Violent Final Radio where I talk like a maniac in the intro about how metal we are.
You want to do Kicks, Blow My Fuse?
Yes.
Ooh,
Yes,
yeah.
very much so.
Mhm.
Okay, so there you go, guys. We'll be listening to Kicks Blow My Fuse for the next show. On our sister podcast, Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie? We will be reviewing the 2001 Denzel Washington action thriller Out of Time. Until next time, take those albums out of the sleeve and let the music breathe. See you next time.